All right, hello Capricorn. Welcome to your July 2026 horoscope. So, this month mostly revolves around Mercury retrograde, which begins on June 29th and goes through most of the month of July. And this theme, if you've watched my Mercury retrograde video, you would know it has a lot to do with the sort of facing and addressing like old childhood survival strategies that have kind of driven you to a certain point in life to where these things are no longer working anymore and you're kind of being forced to confront some of these patterns. Now, Capricorn tends to very often be driven by somewhat traditional values to a certain extent. It's all about stability, right? They're this, it's the sign of the hard worker, the people who stick to things. But it's not just hard work for work's sake, or even just for money. I think in a lot of cases it's as much about main, creating the foundation of material stability so that you can have stability within a relationship. And through this, I think maybe you have found yourself in a position where now you have kind of made your whole life into a long list of responsibilities. And there's a strong urge to kind of just have fun. With Uranus and Mars in the fifth house, that is an explosive energy. Mars and, you know what Mars is. It's kind of like the driving, sort of almost destructive in some cases. It's like the motivating force. It's kind of the thing that you want to move towards and take action towards. And Uranus is kind of like a lightning bolt. So it's like that Mars energy being supercharged by a erratic lightning bolt of pure potential energy. It's explosive, it's powerful. So there's a strong, strong desire to kind of just have some fun, do your own thing, and maybe just like be left alone. With Lilith here in the 12th house, that's kind of like a strong desire to isolate, to kind of be by yourself for a while and kind of just not have to worry about all like the mountain of responsibilities that you have to climb every single day. Um, and with this Mercury retrograde and Jupiter over here in opposition to Pluto and the Moon over here, um, in your first house. So there's a personal sort of transformation happening for you, and probably has been for a little while now. And it's difficult to deal with these deep fundamental changes in your sense of identity while also upholding a bunch of responsibilities, like a life that you have built from the old sense of self. So it's like the sense of self that is emerging may not actually really value the same things that you used to value, and but you've already put a whole lot of time and effort into constructing a life of a certain kind. And then there's also some emotions kind of brewing under the surface that don't really get a chance to be looked at. It's Chiron. Chiron is the deepest wound, that kind of serves as like the cornerstone of the ego, and it kind of requires attention, which requires space and time alone and quiet to be able to kind of dig in and feel what you are feeling and process whatever's going stirring underneath the surface. But maybe you just don't really get a chance to do that very much. Maybe you have a relationship or a family and a job, and like there's all these different things that kind of eat up most of your time. Um, and with Saturn and Pluto down here, along with Pallas and Vesta, these two asteroids over here, there's a lot you're not saying. Maybe there's a lot that you don't feel comfortable speaking up about, or maybe just don't know how to articulate exactly. And you really don't want to upset the people that you're close to. It's not their fault. You're not upset with them, but there are things that you feel like you may need to express or explore in yourself that they may not be so happy to hear about. And unfortunately, it seems like really somebody's going to have to be disappointed in this situation at some point. Either it's going to be you because you kind of continue to suppress and bottle up these things that you want to express and talk about and not be able to, you know, do what your sort of underlying feelings, your consciousness is kind of driving you to do. Or it might be the people that you are closest to who kind of you might have to be like, sorry, I know you don't like it. You might have to just leave me be for a little while. Not completely isolate yourself, but spending times on things that give you a sense of like value, not just money, not just the things that you have, but a deeper internal sense of self-worth. Oh, there goes a car alarm. Hold on. And as I'm looking at this, one of the ways we could interpret this setup here with Venus in the eighth house and these aspects it's making to this, the collection down there of planets of talking about restricting what you say. There may be maybe a person close to you, maybe like if you're a partner, if you're married or in a long-term relationship, there's a fear that if you express that you need to do things on your own and you need some time to yourself, they're automatically going to jump to the worst case scenario and think that there's someone else that you're seeing behind their back. And you just don't want to deal with the jealousy and the paranoia and having to explain all of this. Um, and it looks like there's a sense of identity that is tied to your close relationships. You know, the people you are closest to, you spend probably maybe a lot of time with them, and there's a sense of like your perspective of yourself is deeply rooted in the way that you interact with the people close to you. And there are some things that you really can't fully address and look at and understand within yourself when there are other people around that sort of support this specific type of identity that you have upheld up until now. So at least just a temporary like respite and just to take some time for yourself does seem to be necessary. It's just finding the balance, being able to express this need in a way that is not going to cause some kind of upset. That's the main challenge here, I think. And I think we're only about 6 minutes in. It really doesn't take me long to get to the point with these charts, and I guess I could draw things out by saying, oh, the aspects between Venus making trine to Saturn and Pluto and Pallas down in the third house, as well as the 10th house. If I get all technical in the details, I feel like the message is going to get lost. So I guess we'll just keep this video kind of short. We pause the video, see if there's anything I'm missing. I suppose I should point out, if you're actually still watching this video at this point, that this Lilith in the 12th house, this desire for alone time, it's got to be careful not to take it too far. It's not about total isolation and just like leaving somebody, like just completely going off by yourself for a really long time and not communicating with people. If there's any way that you can find, it's really all about like getting in touch with like what really gives you your sense of self-worth. What are the real motivations behind the things that you're doing now? There's a shift in your identity happening. You're now beginning to see yourself in a different way. Your values are changing and shifting. And because the structure of your life has been built on a set of old values that came from an old sense of identity, there just needs to be a little bit of time to really get deep down and figure out like where do these feelings come from? What are they trying to get me to do? What do I really need? What is the point? Like what am I doing? So anyways, I suppose we'll stop the video there. So if you find that you resonate with this and you want to get deeper into your own situations, send me a message or check out my website where you can order readings. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave comments, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.